Okay, we're in.
We're in. Okay, welcome to another episode of the Iron and Ceramite podcast. My name is John, and as always, I'm joined by Shane. Hello,
Hello.
Glenn,
Uh,
and some invader that we sort of recognise. Who are
Hello,
you?
Dave. I don't know if you recognise me for the OG Iron and Ceramite fans. It's
Wow,
been a few years.
wow. Almost
and a
the
few
whole
pounds by
generation.
the looks of it.
Sorry?
I said, and a few pounds by the looks of it.
Yeah, a few pounds. I've grown my hair. Not managed to find my ears yet, but nice to see you too, Glenn, as always. I've
Well, I
changed my
wouldn't
mind
have
about
been
I've,
as
I've changed my mind about the podcast. I'll see you guys later.
I might have been a little bit more accepting of your appearance if you come to my goddamn wedding, you know?
Oh, it's got awkward early, isn't it?
It's the only
Strange.
reason. It's the only reason we've invited you back on to
No, just
lynch you.
an hour of abuse.
Yeah.
So
We've
no
been
different
saving
than it
up.
used to be.
Yeah. Oh well. What hobby have you been doing, Dave? You've got a
I've
year.
I've done not very much. I've looked at my pile of shame. I've finished a couple of dreadnoughts, other
Mm,
than just pauldrony bits. So I've done a bit and supervised my 14-year-old son surpassing me in painting talent.
yeah. Well, I think just because we've been talking about piles of shame quite a bit, before we go into the new boxes and all that, the exciting stuff, I think you should tell people that don't know who you are exactly what's in your pile of shame because it's not much.
Okay, it's only a couple of bits that is only going to take a few decades to get through. So I'll start off with the 2,000 points of Templars that I've still got to do. And then there's about 3,000 points of Tau that I still need to get through. Whole Bretonian army. There's probably about, again, 2,000 points and an entire High Elves army as well. But other than that, I'm on top of it all. So,
Yeah.
and,
Multiple
and, and
factions.
compared to
Multi.
Glenn, that's probably not actually that much. So,
That's tricky numbers, man.
I think
Yeah.
at least you're going multiple gaming systems as well. That's
yeah, I
a
mean,
solid
I
work.
would like to eventually. I've got all my old world stuff built, so eventually I would like to play a couple of games of that. But we'll see. I've still got to actually work out how 40k works before we get there. So
I mean, you may as well just wait because we've got the new edition coming, right? So
yeah,
it's
that's
all
true.
going to change anyway.
Yeah, the only person I can't beat Jensen to save my life. Can't beat my 14-year-old son. I can beat John on pretty much every occasion I play him, but I'm outwitted by the 14-year-old. So,
And
I
what
have said,
what the 14-year-old, what factions are you running?
so he's got orcs. So obviously
Yeah.
he is mega excited by these new releases, and a lot of the things that he was hoping for and praying for, I think have come out as well. And he's also got Space Wolves. So he just got up to 2,000 points in Space Wolves at his last birthday, and he took them out against John last week.
and
The
I
first
thrashed
time.
him, thrashed him.
Yeah, it's a rough matchup for the Space Wolves against the
Oh
Death
yeah,
Guard.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. On hobbying though, and on Glen and Piles of Shame. Now,
Yes.
last week we were given a teaser that maybe there'd been some movement. I think it's important we go into that before we move on anywhere else.
I did build some models, a whole five um strikes, a whole five-man strike squad for the Grey Knights. So yes, and they have literally sat on the dining room table with the clippers beside them since then. So that's over a week, and yeah, I haven't actually done any more, but I have done something.
That's five more models in a week than you've done in the
Oh, in
what?
fairness, that's over the course of like 2 weeks
Since
now.
you've been back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
built a
pretty
couple
good.
of Terminators as well, like right at the start whenever we came back.
Yeah.
And the missus sort of picked them up and was a little bit like, what is this? What? So I tried to explain to her, and yeah, it was sort of one of those conversations of I'm talking at you, nothing's going in, you don't care, I'm getting excited, and you're just looking at me blankly. Okay, I'll finish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just being married, Glenn.
yeah, yeah. fully accept that.
Nice. Well, that's pretty good work for you, Glenn. 5 models.
Yeah, that's.
It's
In all
rapid.
fairness, I think there's only about another 15 Empire armor left to build. Well, technically, I only need to build, I think, 12 for the 2,000 points list, and yeah, that'll be it.
So,
It'll
at
be
the rate that we
Ray.
work, Halloween maybe.
12th, I'll say 12th edition.
12. Halloween 3 years from now.
Mm.
What about you, Shane? Have you got any more Space Wolves built?
So I actually did it today. I hadn't done anything, and then today I managed to get all of the metallic gunmetal done on my squad of infiltrators, all of the yellow pauldrons, all of the lenses, and all of the bases. So that I've got about 5 colours. Yeah, 5 colours I think I still need to put on them, but I'm trying to do them all rather than doing them mini at a time. I'm trying to do the squad in one go. So one colour, the 5 Marines, then switch, then switch, then switch. I've never been any good at batch painting, so it's a bit of a pain. But it took me maybe I think I sat down for a couple of hours, so a bit of progress. But a few more colours, another couple of sessions, and then the infiltrators will be done, and then I can move on to actual Space Wolves as opposed to just vanilla Marines. And next up, I think after that it's going to be Logan, because I've got him built, I've got his wolves primed. Now I need to prime him and then paint him.
He's a very nice model, chunky.
Yeah, that'll be the next one.
Yeah, very nice.
Cool.
Well, shall we get into what we're all here for then?
Yes, let me.
The 11th edition box.
Share my screen.
I'm assuming, Glenn, you're not going to buy it, but I think the rest of us are all planning on it. Or have you been tempted, Shane?
No, I'm still saying no. So hopefully that should be. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, there we go. So no, I'll come into why. Model wise, there's nothing in there that's tempting me, but there are a couple of bits that I found quite interesting. But we can go into it.
I mean, model wise, yeah, same. I would happily have the stuff.
Yeah.
For the Marines, not that interested in the Orcs. I don't. It's one of the few armies I don't really have or have ever really had. Yeah, stuff looks cool. Doesn't appeal to me enough to start an army.
Well, let's shall we start with the order of the article, which is the Marines.
Yeah.
So up first, we've got the captain with relic shield on tactical rock.
I see quite a lot of love for him online. I thought people would be a bit disappointed, but everyone's saying they quite like him.
Yeah, he seems all right. I think and I've seen it a couple of times, because if you look at the new Titus Mini, and then you look at the current Ulrich Mini, they're very similar in sculpt. And if you look at the captain with the relic shield, and I'm just going to flick over because it was a point I made, I think, on Insta, to the Wolfguard battle leader, I think there's a lot that these guys share. Like, they're very, very similar in build and sculpt. He's got the new one's got a bigger tactical rock and obviously a different shield, but I think they're quite similar. So I've noticed that there's a few similar sculpts knocking around between various bits and pieces, but I suppose there is only so many ways that you can make a captain with shield and weapon, right?
Yeah.
And Dave, are you going to show us a?
I'm literally about to make the same point about why the Vanguard veterans, but I'll leave him on the side for when we get there.
when we get
But
there.
I agree entirely with your point. I do really like this model. I think it's quite
Yeah.
cool. I have already pre-ordered it from John from his box
Very good.
because I'm not going to get anything from the voice box. I think he wants all of it. So I've already made my pre-order for this one. I do quite like this one. I think it'll be quite easy to make it fit in nicely with the Black Templars as well.
I think this one works very well Templary. Like as I said, from a Space Wolves player point of view, I'm that's why I'm not. It'd be too much that I'd need to do to convert it. And we've got the Wolfguard battle leader anyway, which does the job.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
I did one thing that came up when they did the video though, is I do like the and the bit that that's going to stand out, and I know why they've done it. It's very clever because although it's a lore piece, it's also something that when you're lining your miniatures up on the tabletop, the little trinket that tells you that Marine's been in the Armageddon campaign. So you can see on his belt hanging down next to his sword that little sort of crucifix with a skull. That's the Armageddon symbol. I don't know if you can, like, I don't know if my cursor's coming up, but there's like a little, like, looks, yeah, it's like a little gold crucifix effectively with a skull on it. That's the campaign badge for Armageddon.
You can see it a little bit easier on some of the other. I think maybe it's the 10-man squad. I think you can see them a little bit easier.
Let's scroll down. Obviously, before we get to them, we've got the librarian. Very similar to, in fact, looks exactly the same as the librarian that came out, the Primaris librarian that came out. He's just in a different pose. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool models, aren't they? But yeah, you're right. He's just pointing his stick in a different direction.
Yeah, and one of the things that, well, we'll come on to it, but we may as well point out now that they also pointed out in the video, which I quite like, was that like the tactical rocks and bases and stuff like that are also designed to work in cohort with their opposite number. So when we get to the orc bases, you can see that when you put them together, it looks like they've got a head-to-head.
Oh, really?
The bases work together. So if you're someone that just likes to make dioramas or do things like that, actually they already kind of tell a story. But you'll see that when we come to it.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I don't understand why anyone would want a librarian anyway in the first place. I think it's a stupid model.
Of course. Like, abhor the witch.
We've got no time for that.
We don't want psychers.
However,
we do want you do like chaplains.
I do like chaplains, and I do quite like this model. It doesn't blow me away. But I think it's a nice upgrade from what was there before. The last one was very, very much a Blood Angels thing, in my opinion. This still is within that theme and very easily would fit within the Blood Angels army. But most definitely that will be joining the Namakaj Crusade going forward.
I still think, I agree with you. I think it's very Blood Angels-y. But again, I think if you paint it, maybe there's more scope for painting it up differently, then it will come out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'll take off the halo thing. And then maybe give them a slightly different Crozius, but I'll work that out when I got the model. But like I say, this is one of the issues that I was going to say is that I think all of these are push fit.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So I don't mind push fit too much. For the things you're only going to get certain amounts of, it's not too bad because you're only going to you don't need to kit bashes too much. You don't really need to move things around. But it is a little bit frustrating with things like this, I think, because you can bring the characters to life a little bit more if they're not push fit. With my execrator, that's something that it's all very set, which is fine. But both of my execrators are very similar, except from the weapons they're holding, which is a little bit of a shame. I do like to make things a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah, fair enough. And you can see on this one as well, obviously I'll call it out right at the front on the trailing leg, you can see again the Armageddon like medallion that's down there showing.
Mm.
The one thing on this one that I didn't, and I was trying when I was watching it on Friday to see as they were slowly rotating it, but they never went all the way round, was the smoke at the bottom. Does it, where's it coming from? Because is it like, does it go trail all the way back to the jump pack?
Oh yeah, I bet
Or
it's just like
is it just gonna come out of his foot? And I'm like, if it's just out of his foot, it's a bit derpy. Um, but if they've done it so that it's actually like kind of trailing out the pack, then maybe it work. But it was that smoke bit that I was like, okay, where's that actually going?
Oh,
But
Tactical
right.
fart.
Makes sense.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Like what? Like, you know, I mean, if you're in power armor and you drop one, then maybe you will fall to the what's it called, the
Leak
black
out the
rage or
bottom.
whatever. Yeah.
He's got a burst hydraulic line on the back of his
Mm.
leg.
So I am interested to see where that goes. That I am interested in.
I did like the fact that seeing it not in person, but having a better view of it on the live stream because that picture, I've seen that picture quite a few times now. I'm not that fussed on that model. I think
Yeah,
it's a really, really bad picture, but whenever you see it a little bit more three-dimensional, because to me it looks really flat and it looks like he's just sort of going, huh? But it's just not great photography.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
he's a
suppose,
very, very nice looking model. I think he's a bit
John.
more dynamic than he looks in that picture.
Yes, I suppose when you turn him, as you said, if you turn him round, you get more of that
Mm.
depth
Yeah.
of jump. Okay, the ancient, who's as well. Again, I'm going to be digging out my Grey Hunter with banner. I think there's also a for anyone that got the Leviathan box set. Or no, mate, no, it was the Indominus one. There was obviously an ancient with banner in there as well, which I've converted but have never painted. So that will be next on the list to paint.
Mm.
Yeah, this is another one that I've pre-ordered from John to turn him into a Crusade Ancient because I got slightly better rules. Again, I'm going to try and kit bash him a little bit. I think
Yeah,
he's quite a cool model. A lot of the ancient models, I think, it's quite hard to sort of make them dynamic. Where I think this one actually really sort of comes to life, holding it up a little bit. But I will try and give him a sword and change a couple of bits on it. But
yeah.
overall, I do really like this model as well. I think it's a nice update to the ancient.
I couldn't remember whether the I'm trying to read it now. Like it's painted sculpted detail, open space for freehand designs. So I'm assuming on this one the banner is blank.
No. So
Oh,
I
Oh, it's
think,
not.
oh no, I think everything apart from the little bit in the middle and
Hmm.
the you see where you got the fifth company thing at the top.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm with you.
all of the Armageddon bit and all of the little orc heads and the Aquila are all sort of a bit more pronounced. And obviously, again, you've got the Armageddon um, symbol at the bottom of
Campaign.
that one. Yeah, the
Yeah.
campaign one at the bottom of that one.
So
So
that's
I
what they
think all of
mean.
those are coming out. Yeah.
So that must mean what they mean for transfers and freehand. So where you got the company number and the chapter symbol, you could freehand or put your
Yes,
own
I
one
believe
on
so.
there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I mean that probably also saves a lot of people a lot of time trying to freehand an entire
Yeah.
banner these days. Banners are back though. That's like we saw that all across the orcs as well when we get to them. It's now definitely a thing for this edition.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be. Obviously, I don't know if you heard in terms of the different roles. There's going to be the support role as well.
Yes.
And I imagine that the ancient's going to fit within that bracket. And then so hopefully you can have similar in this edition. You can still have your captains and then an ancient with them. So I'll be quite interested to see what role they'll play in the next edition.
Yeah, I hope it's good because like
Yeah,
they've had them, but they don't really do anything. Like they don't do enough at the
no,
moment in
no.
this
I mean,
edition.
Templars have got a list for them, but again, I don't really have enough ancients to make it a viable thing to do at the moment. And the the models never blew me away enough for me to spend the amount of money that I need to do it. So I think this would be a good thing to have another one like that I can sort of proxy as a Crusader Ancient and hope to play the ones that are still carrying over from the Codex into the next edition.
Fair enough. Right, intercessors. Another, if we, if you didn't have enough, you can have more. Like
Yeah.
that, I suppose. Yeah, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I mean, the one thing like the intercessors, great. They are what they are. The one thing that I do like about these is the other armor bits.
Yeah,
So like the old school helmets and things like that. I'm well behind that. I love the older helmets, other than the beaky ones. I don't really like the beaky ones. But yeah, so I like that. But again, I think they're pretty standard, aren't they?
yeah. Like
Yeah.
as I said, there's a few dynamic poses in there. Like there's a underslung. That's quite cool. They've still got the rapid fire one in it, or like the heavy magazine version one. I think the sergeant with the chainsword is quite nice because he's got the chainsword and he's still carrying the same size bolt rifle. But yeah, like if you haven't already got, if you're a Space Marines player and you haven't already got intercessors, then this is good. But if you have already got intercessors, then you definitely don't need any more.
No.
No, I think
There'll be a lot of them on eBay.
Yeah, I think there will be, and I think that as well with a thing like this, you could have cut it down to 5 and added something a little different.
Yeah,
I think like 10 is fine, but a lot of people will be getting this box aren't necessarily going to be new players, and have something a little bit different that would still be competitive in the smaller matches if that's what you're going to do. But you think you got like infiltrator units or lots of different bits and bobs that you could have had a 5-man version of, that I think would be better than the 10-man intercessor.
I think the other thing is though that because it's the new edition, so it is also a starter box. So hopefully, this is just their way of saying if you haven't played before, here's some Space Marines. Here's the basics at least. So it's like I don't play Space Marines, but for even I was like, oh, okay, not the most exciting batch of models, but if you haven't got any, it does the job, doesn't it? And if you do, sell them on eBay to the new players who've got this box as well.
yeah. I suppose it's because you've got. I think they said both sides is probably about 800 points
Yeah.
of army, so it's a fair chunk. I think, yeah, as I said, a new player, fine. They'll build the 10. They'll have 10. That gives you a couple of hundred points. I mean, if you start playing, I mean, it's not even competitive. You just start playing. You quickly get to a point where you go, as you said, I only need 5, and then because there's only one sergeant, you then can't also break it into 2 squads, and that's the nature of push fit. But that's fine. As I said, start set. It is what it is. You're going to expect it's the same as when if we look back and look at it compared to the second edition, which is what this has been widely looked at. You had, I think, in that one you had 2 squads of tactical marines, which the intercessors are I suppose the new version of that, even though they don't have a special weapon and a heavy weapon in anymore.
Yeah, if that was the case, then that would 100%. I'll be well behind that. If you were going to make 10-man intercessor squads slightly less expensive, and the ability to add something like that, I'd be well behind that because I did used to quite like using the tactical squads for the very short amount of time that it was viable to do so since I joined the hobby. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is I think that for the whole box, this is the most sort of unit.
Okay,
before we keep going, we've got some comments.
Okay.
Let's talk to the chat before we go too far. I forget. So again, being educated by a teenager, Dave. If you want to see the back
one, is it?
If you want to see the back of the models, it's on the other community posts where you can see the back of it. It's from Jensen, and then Drunken Deer said, I think we might have covered it a little bit. As someone who has always disliked Space Marines, how are these any better or different from the seasoned player than what's already in the Space Marine market? So I think a lot of it is just they're updated models, aren't they, more than anything else?
New sculpts, effectively. I mean, yeah, nothing we've seen is different. Like the jump back chaplain, I think that's new. I don't think we've had a chaplain with jump pack at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong on that because I don't run chaplains. But otherwise, it's all just new sculpts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the next one is the new model, which is the Vanguard Vets.
Mm.
So
These are
that,
pretty nice.
yeah, so you had the the firstborn versions, which have been live and playable. These are now the updated, upscaled tactical rock edition of Vanguard Vets.
Yeah. Again, another unit that I've pre-ordered, but going on from what you said, and I don't know how well this is going to sort of show up. That's one of the Saw Brethren sculpts.
It's the double-handed.
Yeah, and I was like, because at first, when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, is that an eviscerator?" And I was like, "Are we going back to like Assault Squad eviscerator?" I was like, I was getting a little bit excited about it, and I was like, "Oh no, it's just another mastercrafted power weapon." Again, I really, really like these models. I'm not taking away from that. I do really like them already on pre-order from John. But I agree with what you said. The first thing that I saw when I saw that model was the Saw Brethren.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Again, they are. I think that, yeah, they've done a good job. I think to your point though, they would proxy really well into a lot of other chapters. So I think you could paint them in almost all chapters. I do like the guy on the bottom left with the service studs on the shin. I'm a big one for the studs. So you used to get them on the pauldrons as well. So that's a throwback that I quite liked.
A couple of my Plague Marines have those.
Well, they are old.
Yeah.
They might just be spots on Plague Marines, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're just boils in the right spot.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen a little bit more bling on them.
That
The
I've heard
Vanguard
that.
Vets, they are a little bit. They just kind of look like the Assault Intercessors with power weapons.
Mm.
No, there's not a lot of oomph to the design, but other than that, solid.
Yeah.
A few more
Not-
streams of toilet roll hanging off of them.
Yes.
It should be.
Right. Eradicator squad with heavy bolters.
Mm.
Right. Now, we talked, this is my hot take. We talked about the intercessors and like that's the most in the thing. For me, the sculpts are good, but in terms of unit usage on the table, this is the one where I'm like, I'm never using this. This is a waste of time. So they look cool, but I think 2 weeks out of the edition, no one is using them.
Yeah, I think the rules that they mentioned for them are very good.
That
But
yeah,
It was a lot of shots, wasn't it?
it is a lot of shots. But it's literally not much different from the heavy intercessor sculpts, really. And I think that's what I've seen a lot of people complaining that you've just added a little bit of armor on the front and not much else. And yeah, they're okay.
If these are the same cost as the melter versions, if they cost the same number of points, I'm always taking melter over these.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
especially if you're, and I know this is only like a limited number. If you're just playing at the local local clubs against your mates and stuff like that, they'll be fine. And if you know who you're playing and you know they always turn up with like a brick of 20 Necron warriors or a load of boys or like a horde of like Gene Stealer cults or something like that, then they'll be really good. But if you're a tournament player and you're going to a 3 or 5 game tournament, you're always taking the melter version over the bolters because they're more adaptable across a 3 or 5 game event.
Yeah, because a Marine army in general does not lack anti-infantry.
Exactly. I mean, if you've got the intercessors for sticky objectives, they're going to do 5 of them still put out what 20 shots. Like there's still a lot of shots that into a Necron or Orc squad is going to do a lot of damage. And
I strangely like them though. I must admit, I was looking at them going, Yeah, out of them. I like the little shield. All right, it's just a heavy bolter, but it's kind of cool. I like it.
As I said, I don't mind the sculpt. I'm talking purely from a gameplay perspective that I just don't. In the same way we remember the suppressors, where I think Dave, you've got a squad of those, haven't you? The
Yeah, I've
old
got. Yeah, they very rarely get used. Because, like you say, they're just meh, compared to the other things you can spend the same amount of points on.
Oh, and the flamer unit from the last edition. Yeah,
what were they? Oh yeah,
Oh, the
yeah,
Infernus.
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think if
Again,
you're
I
a
mean,
salamander,
I quite like bringing my Infernus ones, but there's something Templary to that, I think.
yeah, yeah, as I said, like I think what they've done with the sculpt is all right. I quite like the little targeting thing on the backpack as well because you don't
Yeah,
get that on the melter version at the minute.
I really like the chap in the middle though, because just that thing when you inevitably get charged, if he survives a bit in combat, he's got his pistol out. I think that's a very nice dynamic model.
Well, and
Nice
also
touch.
because he's got the magazine on the floor, so he's like, he's
Yeah,
run out, he's dropped the magazine, he's firing the pistol.
yeah,
As I said, from a model point of view, it's quite nice.
yeah.
I'm just not sure.
Not a lot of tabletop play,
I just
but
don't.
they'll be nice to have.
Yeah.
Has anyone tallied up the amount of tactical rocks in this box?
Oh,
Is
there's
this the
so
most
many.
amount of
There's
tactical
so
rocks
many.
that we've ever had in the box?
Yeah, I think it might be. I think it might
Yeah,
be. Like, I mean, you've got two on these guys. Ah,
That's all
what's
right.
that?
three
Loving
there.
it.
Three there.
At least
That's up to
three.
five. I think oh
Yeah, the
no,
sergeant's got one.
and there's one. There's four.
Loving it. Look at all those tactical
Four.
rocks.
Obviously, another tactical rock. He's got two. Yeah, another
Tactical
tactical.
fart.
Like
Big
there's
one, big
loads.
one. Loads.
Ridiculous. They've gone mad on rocks.
There's
Right.
one.
That brings
Yeah.
us swiftly on to.
So I tell you what though, on this one, the tactical rock. So what I quite like about this is that it's not a flight stand.
I
So
agree.
normally with this, you'd have a flight stand, and I quite like that. How whether this holds up any better than a flight stand, we'll have to see. But I quite like the fact that they've gone. Will rather than a flight stand, we're going to try and make it a bit more dynamic. So I quite like that.
Mhm.
That was just one thing.
option is also in the box to not have it on that, so you can put it on your
It is.
own stand, which is unheard of. Push fit models with options.
Mm, I
I,
did notice that as well.
I really like this model. I think that it harks back to the older land speeders.
That's almost like a classic land speeder that
Yeah,
me and
yeah.
Shane will remember from the solid lump of metal that it was.
Yes,
Trying to balance that bastard on a flight stand was just no,
wouldn't work. It never went together properly either. Like big old
no,
gaps in places. Like
yeah.
you'd need to be a real green stuff aficionado to get it to be smooth. I like the model. I like the Marines in it. I think, as I said, I do like it as a Space Wolves player. I'm not getting it, but I do like it as a model, and I
Yeah.
think this is one of the ones that we'll probably see a lot more of, like at events and tournaments and things like that, early on in the edition when it comes out, because I think the rules are good enough. They'll do it like because what's the special rule? It's you
It
can
Move,
can
shoot,
move
move,
after
isn't
it's
it?
yeah, move shoot move.
fire and fade effectively. I think that is such a strong mechanic
Hmm.
that you'll see it a lot because of that.
Yeah.
Well, see, the interesting thing I think with that is how it will work with the terrain features, because a lot of that is if you haven't shot out, you can't be seen within 15 inches of wherever it is.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, I think the meta is just going to have to change from what you're saying, getting away from putting your Marines an inch away from the walls and all stuff like that. It's just going
Yeah.
to be a new meta with things like this, isn't it? Where, oh, I've moved behind this terrain and all that sort of thing. So I think it will be interesting, but I think it's going to get equally as complicated as it is now
Oh, without
within
a doubt.
6 to 9 months of the next edition.
As soon as you put anything live like this, people try and break it. They'll find all of the edge
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
You get all of the new. as I said, there'll still be just as many gamey moves as you had before. There'll just be new gamey
Yeah,
moves.
just learning the new game.
But okay, so thumbs up for the land speeder.
Yeah.
Right, so that was the Space
Should
Marine.
we leave it there then? Because I don't think Jensen wants to see anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know, is it anyone else in the chat? Have we had any more?
We've had another comment. Yeah. Same. Drunken Deer said the army composition would make a better Imperial Fist force than Blood Angels, generally speaking, for the rules. I think they've on the live stream they were showing all the pictures of this force in all the different colours, all the different legions, weren't they? I think the one they showed was salamanders. So
I can understand that point of view though, in terms of
Yeah.
because I think the intercessors and the eradicators very Imperial Fist, especially the current rule set.
We got the jump pack and the Vanguard vets. That's very Blood Angels, and then they
That's
just
more
went
Blood
to
Angels.
Space Marines after that, didn't they?
Yeah, indeed. They may have spent a bit more time on the Orcs though. We did.
Yeah.
We did get
This
a
is
few new
lovely.
sculpts. So this is the War Boss.
Yeah.
More tactical rocks. What this picture doesn't do justice to is how big he is.
Mhm.
He's
on the-
massive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a big old unit.
Yep.
I think that's one of the things that's really pleased the Orc player that I know within this box is that the scaling up is something that he's always had a bit of an issue with. He's always sort of like, oh, the knob should be bigger and the mega knob should be bigger and then the war boss should be bigger. And I'm like, yeah, and it really sort of has been sorted out with this box. And I think that it makes it a lot more orky and a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. Because they are huge models. And I think that's what a lot of people think about Orcs is not like the little boys that sort of roughly match the intercessors. It's the great big Orcs that are coming towards you in a horde. And yeah, these are great.
A lot more banners as well in the Orcs.
Yeah.
A lot more banner poles for all of the models, but we'll see that in a minute.
Sorry, and I really like the options with this as well. In terms of like the War Boss model. And the cleave rule that was mentioned as well. I think that's going to be interesting.
I did want to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm quite looking forward to see what other units have that. But War Bosses should be monsters in melee. They already are. But it would be fun to. I say that I'm probably going to regret that in 6 months' time when I've played it half a dozen times or a dozen times, and not won a single game. But I think it's going to make it quite interesting going forward in the next edition.
Yeah. So on the live stream, on Cleave, on the live stream, they described Cleave as like the blast rule, but in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get that. Like, so if you're going into a squad of 10, for example, Cleave would give you extra attacks.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But then, if anyone saw it, I think it was yesterday, might have been today, Auspex Tactics put out a video straight away, like he does, very good, and noted that on one of the cards, the Cleave rule had actually, it was Cleave 1. Right now, Blast doesn't have Blast 1, it just has Blast.
Yeah.
And obviously, Sustained Hits has Sustained 1 because you get 1 sustained, or you might get 2 sustained, or you get Sustained D3. So the 1 has then thrown questions into my head as terms of how is it actually going to work? Because like, is Cleave, like, one thing that popped in was like, right now you've got like a sweep or a strike attack.
Yeah.
Are they going to be done with those and just be like, okay, it's just one attack profile, but you get the Cleave keyword, so that if you're going into a big squad, Cleave makes it more like a sweep rather than a strike. But again, all of this is up in the air. It was the bit that threw me was having the number 1 at the end of Cleave, because if it was Blast, it would just be Blast, unless they're going to change how Blast works.
Well, yeah, it looks like a lot of. Well, we'll get to it at the end, I guess, when we get into that. But it looks like all the ways that these strats are all going to change, aren't they? So, and maybe that's going to be the same for all keywords as well. They're all going to have these little touch-ups to make them more interesting.
Essentially, you could be even looking at something maybe that's bigger and scarier than that, having Cleave 2. So for every 5 models, you get an extra 2 attacks.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that with the Lord of Contagion running in. It's
Or
already nasty.
Angron with Cleave 5.
So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, but then you might again with Angron, like because they're the type of models I was thinking of the Primarchs, even like Mortarion and the likes. Instead of having a sweep and a strike, you might just have one attack profile, but
Yeah.
instead it's cleave too. So he's going into a squad of Marines or whatever. It's gonna get really nasty. But
Yeah.
we won't know until we know, right?
Yeah, the great model. And moving on to, I think,
Another
possibly
great
the best one in the box.
This was my
Orc
favorite.
Lieutenant.
Exactly. And this is, I don't know if I've mentioned this several times already. Jensen has been going on for months, if not years, while playing Orcs, going, we need something in between, and specifically saying a boss mob or a big boss. And now he's got it. And I think that it is such a cool model. And it's going to fit quite a big gap within the Orc armies as well. Because it is literally either like your pain boss or something like that, or a war boss. It's quite difficult to lead that. Whereas with a lieutenant equivalent for the Orcs, I think that's going to be quite interesting to see how that works. And it is just such a good model, isn't it? That is so cool.
Yeah.
Like just a great big chopper.
I think
Can't go wrong.
this was my favorite model from the box. I think like even as good as the war boss is, as good as like some of the Space Marines are in terms of, I just really like this one. This was the one that I was like, and it was filling no tactical rock. It's tactical something else.
It looks like a jump pack, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A backpack.
Another banner pole. So also, more banners for the Orcs. But I like the pose. I like the big axe. I like the role that he fulfills. Again, I'm not collecting Orcs, but overall, I thought this was a good addition.
And a nice little squig to go by his feet as well. Keep him company.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
I,
the big
I,
plus.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, he is cool.
Then, speaking of banners,
Down a knob.
the banner knob. So you couldn't have an ancient with a banner, the Space Marines, without having a banner for the Orcs.
Yeah, so this is again something that my son's been crying out for. A knob with war banner, and I imagine it's going to work in the same way to previous editions. But first of all, what a great model! Like, it's so dynamic, it's so orky. Another tactical rock, like you can't go wrong. It's so good.
Yeah, it's nice. I think they have done a good job.
Yeah.
I think that in terms of the support level of these as well, I'd be interested to see how it works with knobs, with Orcs, sorry, because they already are hitting hard on the war and in melee, and I'm a little bit worried about what the war banners are actually going to do, because my son's getting up to about 3k of Orcs now, and I don't know if him getting this box set is the best idea now. The more that I'm looking at it, the more that I'm thinking this is terrible.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they do with the rules, right? Could all change. All right, Pain Boy with Grot Orderly. No tactical rock. So that's missing. No banner. That's missing. No. I like it. I think it's a good model.
Cool, isn't he?
Very orky. I like the Grot Orderly with this big bone saw. I think that's quite nice. Yeah,
I think it's a nice little upgrade from the last one, because he's got the same sort of little stumpy leg. He's got the Grot Orderly and obviously the little claw compared to the power claw he used to have.
I quite like that. He's just replaced
I think
fingers.
it does look really good. I think I really like it. It's really dynamic. It's lots of fun. It's very orky. So I think it's a really nice addition.
Yeah, I prefer the old chaotic Pain Boys with all the gubbins all over them. That's a little bit too. It's a bit too surgical for an orc.
I think the Pain Boy you're talking about, Glenn, is not like the model that's currently existing, but like pre that, like the proper old.
To be honest, both the previous ones, I like both of them, but like the old one with the massive claw with the syringes and everything on it, that was Yeah, yeah, that's the best one. But this one's pretty good. I prefer. Though out of those two, I prefer the Grot Orderly than the Paperboy.
Yes, I agree. I'm with the Grot Orderly on that one. Right, the Weird Boy.
Oh, I really like this.
Everyone's saying that this is their pick of the models. That tends to be the consensus online at the minute, that everyone likes the new Weird Boy.
And he's got the most tactical rocks of anyone.
He has got a lot of tactical rocks, but
Yeah.
when you spin him round, those tactical rocks are moving in the same direction. And I'm just going to scroll back up as to the librarian, where his rocks are moving in that direction as well. So when you put them both together, they look like they're in a dynamic standoff.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, he's quite cool. As I
Yeah.
said, I kind of, I like the old Weird Boy as well. There's a certain charm with the old Weird Boys. This is good though. They have done a good job.
This is lots of fun, isn't it? It's just great. I think it's just a lot of these models are they're so orky. And that's
Yeah.
the best thing about them, is just that there's pretty much no other army that you'd have just a lunatic with literally just a loincloth and a bunch of wires coming out of him.
There are a load of
playing
mad
around with
wires.
the psychic.
Because it's only looking at it now that you see like it's more mad wires than wire energy, isn't it?
See, I think that this is, I can't remember exactly when they brought it out. They did explain he's sort of at that crescendo of calling in the psychic powers and everything's going
Yeah.
right or wrong, depending on what side you're on. But I just think it's a really cool model. It's great.
Yeah.
But the only downside for me, I'm looking at that going as a very experienced hobbyist going, those little twiddly bits are going to snap off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to break them.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm very happy to look at this from afar and go, that's a cool model.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
Yep. Ain't putting that in the case.
And then the new boys.
The boys.
So different to the old boys. Not that different, but different. They've all got choppers and sluggers. And is this the one where because they got the not, isn't there? They were saying there's two different weapon profiles for the knobs.
Yes. There's
Like,
there's,
yeah,
there's basically the combi and the rocket combi or something like that. Yeah.
but overall looking all right. What I did note, like the orcs. So with the Space Marines, all of the Space Marines have got their little badge that says that they're from Armageddon. So you'll know that when you're playing someone, whether or not they've bought the box set or got it off eBay or gone in with someone else that's got a box set. There doesn't seem to be any Armageddon demarcation for the orcs, though. They're just orcs.
Which is very classic Hawks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't matter where we're fighting.
I like the fact they tried to put a few different bits in there. They got choppers. Some of them have got squig hair. Some of them got helmets. I do like the guy in the back, the top there, with a really old furry helmet. That's a throwback. And obviously the stick grenades are always a nice touch.
Yeah, they're good fun. I like the fact that you can have choppers and shooters as well, because that always used to be well, in the last edition at least that Jensen's been playing, you used to pick one or the other. Whereas I think it's very orky that they're going to run forward with their rusty guns and throw them away and get their choppers out and then get involved. So I like that new rule as well, that they're going to have all of it. I think that'd be really good.
I think it's fair. And as I said, we know from an orc point of view, it's when they're running in firing those guns, it's actually more about the noise they make than whether they hit anything.
Yeah. Jensen, I was talking to him today about the book, and he just comes up with the most, and he is like pure 14-year-old orc brain anyway. But he's like, would it be really cool if like the shooters, they could fire more than 24, but it'd always hit on a 6? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
They're not getting like infinite Overwatch on everyone.
Yes, yes, it would be cool, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. You and your little squeak brain go elsewhere.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've got the Grots or the Gretchen. Gretchen being their original name. Grots dropping in and out every now and then. Obviously, it's been Grot Week.
Yeah.
We've had them released all the time. I don't know, like they're all right. They're Gretchen.
They're
I don't.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just the way that they've been painted. I'm not hugely struck on them. I think they're not as green as I want them to be. I don't know if
I
that
think it's
makes
just
sense.
too.
Not quite as. I don't
I
know.
I was looking at one of them the other day. I think it's the one in the bottom right corner, the one with the like the top knot. Um, I don't know if they've increased the hand size of grots.
They are massive. I
They're really
thought that
big,
on a couple of them. Both of the ones with the on the bottom, they've got huge hands.
and like I was like, I'm sure they didn't used to have wacky sized hands, but now they're like proper clown hands.
Yeah,
So I'm not
No,
totally on board with that.
no, and I
they're
agree with
just
what Drunken Deer said in the chat. Is that I think it is a big missed opportunity to make something a lot of fun and very different. Um, and they're very similar to what is already out there. They're not that much different. Um, and while I think a lot of people will like the sort of throwback sort of thing, you could have made these a lot more fun than they are.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm not. As I said, I think that's it. Missed opportunity is exactly the right summation.
Mm.
That's
I mean, coming from not knowing too much about it, I quite like them. I don't know. I haven't really had a look at the other one. I know, obviously, when I played Gentleman's Adam, I don't think I paid enough attention. So, for a first timer looking to into the orcs, I don't mind them. I think I quite like them. But
well,
I
you're
suppose
going to
if
be
you've been around a while, maybe you're right. You'd like something a little more special.
Jensen's just said they traded big hands for stealing rather than big ears for listening. And also, that is a really good point. Where is the runt head?
yes.
That is
Well,
really good. That I hadn't even realised until you just put that comment.
yeah. No, well, there's no runt herd in the box. That doesn't mean he's not going to be about,
Yeah,
or is he going to go to Legends?
yeah.
We'll have to
Well,
wait and
that's
see.
yeah.
Because, like, again, like, well, you don't need to run anyway. We won't
We
know.
wait and see.
Okay, the war track.
That's cool, isn't it? Very nice model.
Your favourite Space Marine helmet on the banner pole, Dave?
Yeah, where it belongs.
I disagree. I like a beaky, but that's
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
in
But
fact I've got one on my desk right now.
as long as it's not on a model, it's fine. I really like this one. I think it's lots of fun. It's really good. Again, super orky. I'm worried about the amount of rockets on it, in all honesty. Um,
that
because
sounded terrifying on the live stream as well. It was a ridiculous amount of
Yeah.
rockets they were capable of firing. It's like,
yeah, so but yeah, it looks like lots of fun. It's a great model. And hopefully you can run this with sort of like a bit of a speed freaks army, but also with the other ones as well.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if it's going to be more of a centerpiecey one or like an ATV equivalent, or I'm interested to see where it fits in with Orc armies and what they've already got. So yeah, but I love it. It looks great.
I think it's a good update. I can definitely see you like if I were an Orc player and I bought this and I already had war tracks, should I say, I'd you I think it would fit in with them. So you'd be able to, if you were running more than one, you I think they still fit quite nicely together. It's just a nice updated version.
Yeah, I think it's like similar with the ATV or something like that. It depends on the points and what's going to happen. But if you could attach this to a unit of war bikers, I think that'd be a lot of fun. But we'll wait and see.
Right. And then the big one for this set is the Big Mech Dakar rig. Great model. Great looking model.
Yeah.
Um,
Where's the butt?
Well, again, it's similar to the Eradicators. I think it will. I think if you're buying this kit, you're going to be using it. I don't know whether it's going to have that much play outside of the first couple of months.
Yeah, I think it's going to have its place in certain lists and certain armies. Like I've got the Orc codex next to me. I'll try and find the Dread Mob list.
Yes,
Which
that list will work.
that would be horrific for facing that. And Jensen's run that a couple of times where it's all just gone wrong very quickly for me. But I agree with you. Whether that's going to be across the board for orcs or whether it's going to be specific armies, waits to be seen. But I think it's a great model.
Incredible model.
It's lots of fun. It's nice and new. Lots of rockets. Lots of DACA.
Yeah, because I can't remember what their special rule. He said there was a special rule with the gun that I thought sounded particularly good.
It gets more shots if it's shooting into smaller units, doesn't it? Like, so if you're
Yeah.
depleted your intercessors, he's going to effectively wipe them off the board, I think.
Yeah. Well, it could be more. I don't know if you're running a 5-man intercessor whether there's enough, but certainly if it's like into a Necron blob, like Necron warrior blob, that's going to really chew them up.
Yeah, and I think that it's be a bit more durable from what they're saying about the it's got a custom force field.
Yes.
So a lot of orc units at the moment, they're not particularly durable unless it's the war. During the war, when everything gets bloody inbuns and all sorts of nonsense and feel no pains, they're quite hard to shift for a turn. So this would be quite fun. That it will hopefully be a little bit more durable than some of the orc stuff. I say that, but then I'll be playing against it and go, "This is awful." So we'll see.
I mean, when it first comes out, it's going to be, it's going to be good for the opening couple of months.
Yeah,
be a nice model. Right, then into the admin. So this is the first time this I thought was an interesting approach, which I actually think is the right approach. Is that previously the editions you have the rules and the fluff and the narrative all together in your big book. Now they've just gone all fluff.
Yeah.
So you get your big fluff book where you've got all of the lore, everything else, and that's it. So if you're into lore, that's another reason why you might get the box. So interesting approach, I think, and it will probably be depending on how it goes. I think that's how they're going to move forward, especially with more digital rules moving forward. Because if you've got the app, which we'll scroll on to, you'll get the core rules anyway. So the core rules, which come in a nice smaller non-hardback book, will also be available on the app.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the better way to do it, because I remember even with the app when we bought the before it goes out of date, bringing the codex, the big core rules book with us is just a massive thing to carry around. And when you're skipping more than half of it to get to the rules, it's a bloody nightmare. But I don't think in the 2 codex or the 2 core rule books I have, I've ever actually read any of the lore that's in it. So
it's obviously a bit more lore nerd. I will read all of the lore. But I read, to be fair, I bought Indomitus, read all of the lore, like love all of that stuff. Got the Leviathan one, and really there wasn't much of an update on the lore. A lot of it is the same as you would expect. Codexes, bit of lore there, but ultimately, like for these editions, you're probably just after the core rules anyway.
Yeah.
So I thought that that is an interesting way of doing it. Let me click on to this because we'll go into this in a bit more. Because then we've got outside the core rules, you've then got the chapter approved 26-27 mission deck. So this will take over from the chapter approved that exists right now, which is how you build your missions, right? So that's going to be, and they have said now that everything is available to everyone. So even if you're, like world eaters, you can still do you could still pick a force disposition and mission set that you would look at and be like, well, that'd be more Tau orientated. So it's still open to everyone, but obviously it's more than your decision how much you want to lean into your narrative.
Yeah.
That's how I've read and understood it.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing that I'm interested in is how I like the narrative side of things. I like the reason that I picked the Templars is because I enjoy the lore and the lunacy of it. And to be able to run a stupid amount of Crusader squads and just sort of charge up the field would be great. So I'm quite interested to see how the narrative plays out with the normal games, because obviously this is for not just your friendly games, this is for all of the games going up into tournaments and stuff like that. So we'll see how well that works with it. But I think that it's going to be quite fun to run a lot more Crusaders than I had been running.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it works as well, because I think it will be interesting. I think if you're just playing it out the box, like with friends and stuff like that, I think it'll be easier to make it more narrative. I think, well, we'll wait and see. I'd imagine you're going to start getting a lot of tournament homebrew rules, which you get like house rules, which you get a lot of anyway. Like you just look at terrain and stuff like that. The tournament scene will quickly adapt and be like, this is how we're going to do it. So I think that might happen, but we won't know until we actually get our hands on it and start playing it. And then for someone like me who's probably not going to get this box set, it is then just waiting. How long do I have to wait before I can buy this on its own?
Yeah,
because that's the bit that I really want. Is like I want this deck, and then I'll also probably want this deck as well, which is the campaign deck. So this is the other big change. Because speaking about that narrative side of it, Dave, like right now they'll say, oh, if you really want narrative, you've got the campaign stuff. Like I think I've played a Crusade. I think I've played two Crusade games. Tried to get it off and running maybe in ninth edition. I think we were at one point we were all trying to play a little bit. I think we never got it anywhere.
No.
Whereas this, I think could work. Like, like John, for example, we play probably a couple of times a month, maybe more.
Yeah.
It would be easy to stitch together 3 games that are all playing the same list, and turn it into a campaign.
Yeah, absolutely it would. And it would be interesting to do as well. It just mixes it up massively, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see. I haven't looked into it, so maybe you may know more than I. But in terms of the points that you could play this with, so me and Jensen, we try and get a 2K game pretty much every other week, but we might try and do like a 1K or a 500 point game. So I'd be interested that you could play 3 500 point games and it'd be the same level as a 2K game, obviously scaled down, but still playable with this campaign deck. So I'll be interested to see how that works as well with this.
Yeah, I think it's not. I do. It will. There's a lot of stuff that'd be interesting to see with this new deck. I think it's probably, as someone that's never played like the Crusades, really, I think it's a nice change to try and make that campaign thing start happening again. I know there are a lot of people that have played Crusades though, and they might be a bit miffed that they've gone down this direction. But again, I suppose sound off in the comments if you are a Crusade player and you're not happy about the change. But I don't know. I feel optimistic about maybe playing more campaigny type stuff now compared to what I would with the Crusade.
Yeah, a good structured Crusade campaign is very good, and hopefully this gives it a decent structure. So I think it's quite flexible as well. That you can, you can do it from like three missions right up to like real long running campaigns.
Yeah.
So I want same machine. I want the cards out of the box. maybe the odd model, but yeah, predominantly the cards, and they are thick-looking boxes.
Yeah, that
Either the
chapter
guy,
three
the
was
guys on the
massive.
live stream either have really small hands or they have some thick boxes. Because when he was getting them out, I was like, "Oh, that's a bit." Because I remember like the old card decks and stuff like that you get, and they were no thicker than a deck of cards. Like they are dense.
Yeah, yeah,
Quality,
it's
quality merchandise.
definitely the yeah the decks of cards. That's what I want. Data sheets. I don't
Not so
know.
much.
No,
Well, great for new players. Great for new players for flicking through new games. I think it's a nice little touch for people who are picking this up to play in the 11th edition and maybe starting to build their Warhammer collection. You look at me and John 3, 4, 5 years ago now, and our collections were nowhere near what we had. And something like this would have been really, really good for us when we were learning in
Yeah.
9th edition to go, look, actually, this is what I need. This is what I need. So I think it's a nice little touch, but for the more experienced player, I don't think it adds much more.
My issue is
But
that it's going to be out of date within a month, and then you just got to stack up the cardboard.
it's the first balanced data slate.
Yeah,
That's always the issue.
yeah. It's like the
Um,
codex. It's interesting to look back at the models or look at the character sheets just to see what the difference was. But yeah, it's just another
but
stack of cards I'm going to have in the codex anyway.
I do kind of actually like. I always overlook that new player. I think you're right,
Yeah,
Dave. For someone that's brand new into it, it is quite nice.
yeah.
And
and
then the transfer sheet. Yeah, transfers.
I've literally got a box of transfer sheets that I've never used next to me. So that'll probably just get added to the pile.
I've never put a
Um,
transfer on a model ever.
Well, you might
It's
do
a
now,
good
John.
transfer sheet
it
It
is a
is.
really good transfer
It
sheet.
is
because
really
it's
good.
There is a
got
lot on there.
like there's a lot of different Space Marine chapters on there. Everyone that's fighting on Armageddon this time round
Yes,
is represented on there. So yeah, it's
Mm.
pretty good. I wouldn't
which
mind getting it
which isn't. I mean, it
sliced
is
up a little bit.
interesting. It is interesting because they say everyone that's fighting on there right now. Well, I thought with the current books, the Space Wolves were there, but
This is
apparently
the
they're
fourth
not.
time.
Yes,
This is
but what I mean is the lore books right now in this current edition. But then I don't know if it changes for the
But
the next edition because I didn't also think the white. I didn't know the White Scars were there at the minute. But then that might be the
I
narrative that.
thought I thought this narrative was this is a whole new time.
So this is, and we're getting into the lore now. So right
Yeah.
now, end of this edition, there is an
Yeah.
Armageddon narrative, right?
Yeah.
And because that's where the Space Wolves have
Oh, you
picked
mean
up until,
the Armageddon book that's just come out?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so that's
Oh,
right now. Then we go into the new one, which is the Imperator. So that's what I'm assuming has happened is that between this edition and next edition, Space Wolves leave, and then the new Imperators or the Imperator, whatever they call it, task force comes in, and then it's all of these chapters, which is, it's a fair chunk of the originals. So you got, like I said, White Scars, Crimson Fists. I think that's a nice touch.
yep.
Salamanders, Blood Angels, Ultramarines. So it is good from that point of view. Um, I do like all of the Orc ones. I actually think that it's a shame there aren't more of the Orky ones because I think you'd want a few more, especially if you were building out more of a Orc army on the back of it.
Orcs have never really been a big transfer army,
Yeah,
like going right back, because there's nowhere to put well, not an established place to put transfers on an orc. It's pretty much just clan
yeah,
colors,
that's
you
fair.
know, and then it's the odd banner and maybe stick something on a vehicle or two. But yeah, it's a nice variety of stuff for the orcs as well, though.
It's another good point from Drunken Deer in the chat. Is there any snakebite um, decals on there?
No, it's Goths, Bad Moons, and Evil Sons.
Oh, that's surprising as well because I would have
So
thought you
no,
got a little bit of everything.
no freebooters, no snakebite, no, what's the other ones? I think that's it, isn't it? There's probably more that I've
Oh, you got
forgotten.
Blood
loads.
axes. No blood axes.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So that was the other stuff in there. Let me just very quickly to address. Let's look closer at the Space Marines. Do we have the? This will be the what we talked about earlier with the other shots.
Mm-hmm.
So the other captain helmet variants. Oh, because you had the old broom version for the Ultramarine there. Right, you can get the old dustpan and brush out. Let's have a look though at the back of the So
Yeah. So you got a little smoke grenade on the ground there to justify his jump.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
A
I
little bit.
100% agree with what you're saying. They could have made that a little bit more
It's a little bit weak.
interesting. Yeah.
Oh, there's your dude. There's your Black Templar. Cut that bit off. Make the sword a bit bigger. Happy days.
Yeah, but that is literally pretty much the exact same pose, other than doesn't have a chain.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had the like the
Crux.
loincloths. So actually, I like that a little bit more. And you got like the chains and the little loinclothy things.
That's what I mean. Chains
But
and
there's not much
loincloths is
bling.
very Black Templar.
There's not much bling. I agree with Glenn.
There we go. Yeah. Back of the ancient sword. The Eradicators. I get it. I do like this one. That's good. It's a good pose. Yeah, there's the old land speed will be interesting. We'll see. Anyway, so I think that's the entire box, right?
That's the entire box, and then if we want to cover it, there was a couple of strats that Auspex has already talked about, because you got the changes to oh my god, tank shock is now changed, so monsters can do it too.
Monsters as well. Yeah. That was that.
So
that
that'd be
I
good.
think that's a good update.
Yeah,
Good
so that's a
quality of
cool
life
one.
update.
Smoke's changing.
Well, it's now smoke screen, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's less about the unit that's popping it, because actually they then act as terrain for units behind it.
Yeah. So you can have your rhinos with a conga line of elite units following it.
Yeah.
I think they were the main two that he mentioned.
The other one, and I know they'd already released it, but one to always keep in mind is obviously that change to you can't stack strats.
Yeah.
And the one that I was watching the video earlier, the one that threw me, not threw me, but then I was like, oh, actually, that's a really big change. Is like if you put like let's say you put smoke screen on something to try and get it a better save, and you fail the save, you can't then re-roll it with a command re-roll.
Yeah.
Because that would be stacking strats. But
I've
the
seen
number of
somewhere. Sorry, carry on, Shane.
I was going to say the number of times people will forget that will be unbelievable in the first year, because everyone will be like, "Oh, command point reroll."
Yeah, I seen somewhere that someone pointed out they've zoomed in on some of the strats as well. Overwatch saying end of movement phase.
Yes, only end of movement phase only. Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah. And heroic intervention, that's the one also changed similarly. So Overwatch is now end of the movement phase. So rather than you baiting out Overwatch or doing that, you just move everything, and then your opponent will be like, right, now I'm going to Overwatch that unit.
Yeah.
But you then can't Overwatch in the charge phase. There's no charge phase Overwatch. It's all movement. And so I suppose in one way, you will have quicker play, because you're like, well, if the opponent's got the CP for Overwatch, I'm just going to move, and then that will be that. Then they'll just pick someone to Overwatch. And because it's not in the charge phase, there'll be no engagement range shenanigans or issues like that in terms of when that activates.
So it becomes quite quite powerful as well because you've got a whole shooting phase to go before that. So you could be overwatching something that could potentially be shooting at something else that could be quite damaging.
Mm.
So because it's the end of the movement phase, you're not going to be declaring charge or anything like that. It's like, right, that stuff's moved. Cool. This unit is going to overwatch at your scary shooter unit
Yep.
to try and lessen some of the damage that's going to come my way, and I'll just have to take it whenever you charge me with the more combat based things. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see the dynamics of exactly how it's going to work
Yeah.
and how people are going to play it. More importantly,
I think
I
that's
think
it. I think,
even you look at the chat and the people already asking questions in terms of how things are going to stack with strats and even just like the auras that people are going to have. So I think it's going to be a big learning curve for a lot of people as to how best to play things and what's going to be legal and what's not. I mean,
yeah.
I'm probably still doing things from ninth that I shouldn't be doing. So I'll take that into 11th with me as well.
But we're still starting the game with 30 CP based on.
Yeah.
And then so on all of that stuff, that interaction, I think you're totally right, Glenn. And then the other one was the heroic intervention, which is the same, now happens at the end of the charge phase. So you don't have to declare it immediately. You can just pick it after all the charges are done. And I think they were saying it's going to go up to 12 inches. So
Oh, right.
whereas right now it's 6 inch, but you still have to make the charge. So right now, heroic intervention is you still have to roll a 6 inch charge.
Yeah.
But most of the time you make that, unless like you're John's Death Guard.
Rub it in. That's nasty.
Most of the time you're making it. Whereas now they're saying actually you could heroically intervene with someone that's 12 inches away, but obviously it's you're still going to struggle to make that charge.
Yeah, I mean, I think things like that, I think are going to be a lot more fun. And again, I think it's going to lean back into that narrative side of things. Jensen, with his game against John the other week, earlier in this week, he had a Wolfen that had assassinate, and he basically went on a Hail Mary over to try and get the tallyman who was hiding in the corner. Things like that would be interesting to tell that story in the game. And I think that'll bring a lot of fun to more casual play rather than the sort of meta tournament thing. But games between friends, I think, are going to benefit from that sort of rule.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Oh, more stack chat in the chat. Right, cool. Well, that's the unboxing.
Yeah.
That's like I'll talk through it, I suppose. I think overall, I suppose the last couple of minutes, maybe a quick couple of words summation: win, lose, buy, pass. I suppose, Dave, where are you at?
So I am allowing my 14-year-old son to spend all his pocket money on this. And then I'm going to be spending all my pocket money on buying the bits I want from John.
Yeah.
Okay. So buy and a half.
It's buy and a half, yeah. So I'm spending the most out of everyone, probably.
Yeah. John?
Well, I'm buying 3 boxes. No, I am gonna get the box. Yeah, I definitely want to get it. And make my money back by selling Dave Intercessors.
Very good. Glenn?
probably won't be buying one of the first starter sets that I've not bought, but bits out of it that I do want. So I don't know, Troll Trader, eBay is probably going to get some of my money whenever people inevitably split it up and don't want 2 or 3 captains of. So yeah, there'll be a couple of models in there that I want, but not the whole thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Similar for me, I think the biggest thing I'd be after is the cards. So depending on how long it's going to take for those to be available independently,
It shouldn't be long. They'll want everyone playing, won't they?
John will sell you his for 500 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just buy a box set at that point.
Also, that's one thing I did want to say. No prices have been mentioned. So, what sort of price are we thinking about?
I reckon it'll be about 180 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think closer to the 200 mark. But John, you said earlier about 175, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think anything between 175, 200, I think would be acceptable for those. The amount of models and the amount of stuff you get out of the box.
I think Leviathan was 150, 160.
Yeah,
I remember that was what 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
yeah.
What was
Got
the
it.
Heresy
Nonsense,
box that came out last year, year before?
The
That's the
Heresy
starter
one,
set, basically.
yeah, that Heresy one was closer to
Is that close
200.
to two, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but that was also a big because that was the what's it called? The Mad Terminator set.
Is that the Age of Darkness one?
Saturine or whatever it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's on Wayland for 160, so you're getting.
That's probably about 200 quid there from Games Workshop.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, getting close to that.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think
That's
that
fine.
around the 200 mark is okay if you're going to keep everything.
I think in one way or another, then we're all shipping cash out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, what changes? What changes with this hobby?
Yeah.
I did, the most stupid thing I ever did was getting my children into it. I was like, "Oh, this would be great," and I was like, "Oh no!" And then he was like, "This is my list for my birthday," and I was like, "Oh, you're going to bankrupt me."
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's and they're only on one system at the moment. If you get them into Old World
Oh,
as well,
no,
then
don't
you're in.
mention that. I think he's watching. Stop.
He's already got 2 armies.
Yes, you've got 2 armies.
Mate.
You rookie.
Well, actually, while you are watching, I know you've got a Xenos army and a Space Marine army. What Chaos army are you going to buy as well? You got to have 3. If your dad's got 3, you can have 3.
Right, you can shut up now. I've got 5. Shut up.
And in the Old World, they've got orcs as well. Like, and they're you've got black
Right,
orcs.
this is
Anyway.
no. Everyone, let's
Multi-platform.
go. Right, bye.
Oh, okay.
Right,
That was
on
good.
that,
That was good.
cool. All right. Well,
Right.
I think that's us. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us in the chat. And we'll see you next week.